Hi, everyone. I'm Stan Mallow, the Paranormal Yacker. My guest in today's show is UK researcher and author Jason Gleaves. I'll be speaking with him about his book, UFO Encounters Up Close and Personal. Jason Gleaves, welcome to Paranormal Yacker.
Hi, Stan. How are you? And a pleasure to be on your show.
You, Jason, have contributed over the last 10 years on numerous UFO platforms and have carried out photographic, image, video footage analysis on unidentified flying objects and associated anomalies for ufologists worldwide. Do you recall what initially sparked your interest in exploring the UFO phenomena?
The beginning of my journey into this realms of ufology were really when I had a sighting with my sister when I was age 7 years old in Liverpool, in Aintree in Liverpool. We were playing in a grandparents' house in the bedroom upstairs, and we both witnessed a silver disc which appeared outside the window. I think we observed it for a while, and then it took off at high velocity, and we just carried on playing as if nothing had happened. And I'd actually forgotten about the incident. It was only later with my sister when she reminded me of actually what happened. Things started to come back of the actual incident itself. I suppose through my younger part of my life, I was interested in Arthur C. Clarke and watching his Mysterious Universe TV show. I was glued to that every week. Pretty much Unexplained magazines and UFO books, etc. Charity to the Gods and everything else that everybody seems to go down, reading upon as they sort of fall into this trap of wanting to know more and more and more. And then I suppose one of the bigger things was later when I was serving in the Royal Air Force, actually at a base at RAF Cosford, which is near Wolverhampton, Birmingham in the UK. And in March of 1993, we had a huge triangle-shaped craft come down over the base. It's all there on the internet if anyone wants to look up the information. And it was covered by the MOD, again, with all the papers have been released with the MOD papers. And basically there was a young airman that was on the airfield, the gate guard post on the airfield that evening. And in the guard room that evening, I had a friend who was an orderly corporal. I was on the base. And early hours, I think it was late into the early hours, there was the radio sparked into life. And it was this young airman screaming down the radio to get the guard commander out over the airfield because something was over the airfield itself. And anyone that knows airfields, runways, anything at night, they're literally pitch black. You can't see anything at all. The guard commanders and the RAF police went out. They all witnessed the same craft at the time, and then it took off at high velocity and then went to another RAF base which was nearby, which was RAF Shawbury, which is about 20 miles away. And basically the on-duty air traffic controller caught sight of this object coming in, and he witnessed it actually firing laser-thin pencil beam lasers down towards the ground as if it was looking for something. And then again, it took off at high velocity from there. But throughout the UK that evening, there were other reports of similar craft that were reported right throughout the UK through on-duty policemen and other members of the public. So I suppose that was a big event in my life, sort of thing leading up. And then it led into really setting up where I was analysing UFO images and photographs of generally UFO cases that have been in the books that I'd read or magazines that I'd read and been brought up reading that they were legit and 100%. I would debunk a couple of them along the way and really get into the video and not necessarily video, into the photographic analysing of the images themselves. And it sort of took off from there. Obviously, I've known Philip a long time, Philip Mantle, who's my publisher now, and he's become a good friend and mentor to me, really. And he said, why don't you write a book? Why don't you come out with a book? And I thought I'd never wrote a book before in my life to go down that. So he's mentored me right through, helped me to publish my first book, which was UFO UFO Photo, that book on there, where I actually go in and analyse photographs of cases that I've right through the ages and show people how I do it. And then I went on and did the second book, which is behind me there, the ufology umbrella, which is basically going into a different side of ufology. So it's the 7 separate categories of close encounters, because a lot of people only think there's just 1, 2 or 3. And the famous case really is where you put forward the Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which I'm sure most of the viewers have watched the film, the Steven Spielberg film, and Dr. Hynek, where he actually came out with Close Encounter of the Third Kind, which is obviously contact. But there is actually 7 separate categories, so I really wanted to get that down. And then it sort of led into the latest book.
Your latest book, which is fully illustrated, delves into UFO cases, both known and unknown, which grip the curiosity of many ufologists, authors, researchers, and experiencers. A number of those who contributed to your book are well known in the UFO community. Could you, Jason, tell me who some of them are?
Well, there's nearly 50 separate people within the book. And with this book, I wanted it to be different to obviously the last 2, the first being image analysis, the second being more going into the categories of close encounters. So this one was really, I wanted to know how other ufologists, other researchers had actually got into ufology. What sort of led them into it? Was it a sighting or an experience, or was it just another famous UFO case that caught the intention of them to pull them in? Yeah, there's plenty of people. There's obviously UK people, Philip Mantle and Malcolm Robinson, people like that. And then we can go on. We've got Bruce Maccabee, who's somebody who I actually followed on with him with his analysis of images and looked up to him. Basically, he gave me his first scientific paper he wrote that got him into ufology. It's never been published before. And again, I've got Peter Robinson, people, Mary Rodwell. I mean, the list literally goes on and on and on. People who are in the book. And again, it's either personal account that's happened to them or famous accounts, really.
How, Jason, were you able to get so many well-known people in the UFO world, people who I'm sure have very busy schedules, to take the time to contribute to UFO encounters?
Luckily enough, as I've been in this community that we're in, I've got to know an awful lot of people. I've worked with an awful lot of people. I've analysed photographs for them. I've looked at cases for them. It wasn't very difficult to get people to come on board and give me their paragraph, their chapter. Just even if it was a 1-line sentence, it was something, which nobody did. Everyone did give a really good input into the book. And it just gives you a better understanding of the people that are actually in the ufology community, how they got in there, and what actually experienced them to be in there and be interested in it, like all of us, really. Yeah, I've been humbled by people that have actually come forward and helped and wanted to give their case. And then with each case, when I actually reached out to people to, if they would like to be part of this book or to contribute to it, I would personally illustrate, because obviously a lot of it, if it's a personal case, there's not going to be any photographs or there's not going to be anything for the readers to actually go along with. So I personally would illustrate through their accounts something within the book. So all the illustrations in the book I've done myself, which I think helps towards to explain the case and put a good case forward.
What, Jason, are some of the more well-known UFO cases covered in your book?
Again, there's my own case I put in there. I mean, I've got so many cases I could have put in this book. I literally could have filled it myself. But I wanted to put in a case that was sort of grabbed me. It was 2 students in Japan, and they encountered a UFO over a volcano in Japan, and they were both 19 years of age, and they took a series of photographs. And when you actually analysed the actual object they caught, it was firing laser beams down to within the volcanic eruptions going on below. Whether that was an interest in the UFO, I would have thought that was why it was there. They were taking photographs. They got a good series of photographs. And when I actually analysed them and brought them into a better viewing, they look very similar to the War of the World poster, because that's what the craft looked like. So that was one that stuck into my mind, really. Malcolm Robinson, his case was obviously the case in Scotland, where again, the witness was attacked. And it's still the only case within the UK where it's actually been put through a police report where the person was attacked and its trousers were ripped. And so there's evidence. That was a good case forward. Peter Robinson was a case that with his sister, again, where his sisters had interactions with ETs and other things. So it's quite personal to him. Again, the Bruce Maccabee part, like I said, that was a very interesting part for me, because it was the fact that he actually wrote his scientific paper, and again, that was never published, and he's very generous of him to put that forward for me to put in the book. Again, there's a lot of not so well-known ufologists, but they are known within the UK. I mean, I'm sure a lot of readers, listeners know of the Kinsella brothers, Philip and Ronald Kinsella, here in the UK. And again, it was a sighting they had of a triangle, also sightings they had as young children. Mary Rodwell, again, cases in there that a case that got her really involved within the field, again, was the Chinese Roswell. So it was a case where a craft had landed on a base in China, and again, they had ETs and extraterrestrials and interactions. Like I said, the list goes on and on and on. You know, the people that are in the book are amazing, that some of the cases they've actually brought forward.
Should viewers of Paranormal Yacker want to buy UFO Encounters up close and personal, how can they do that?
They can purchase it either through Flying Disc Press, through Philip Mantle, or on Amazon Prime. And you can obviously purchase any other of my books from those sources as well.
Jason Gleaves, I thank you for being my guest on Paranormal Yacker. I wish you success with your book.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Hi, everyone. This is Stan Mallow, the Paranormal Yacker. I hope you enjoyed part 1 of my interview with Jason Gleaves. In part 2, he'll talk about the tools he employs to capture UFOs and how he uses them. UFO encounters of the third kind, as well as the experiences of ET abductees Jason has spoken with, will also be discussed. To be sure you don't miss part 2 of my interview with Jason or any of my other upcoming interviews, be sure to subscribe to my free YouTube channel. All you have to do is press the subscribe button on your screen.